Witchcraft by Joanna Baillie, produced by Marin Shakespeare Company for the 2022 Classical Women Writers Reading Series. This is one of 27 plays written by Joanna Baillie. It was first performed in 1836. The play takes place in the playwright's homeland of Scotland and explores why different characters believe the big lie of witchcraft. Act 1, Scene 1, the home of Lady Dungarron in Renfrewshire, Scotland.
You must be surprised, my dear cousin, at my unexpected return.
I will frankly confess that I am. How did you find your friends in Glenrowan?
With their house full of disagreeable visitors in discomfort. Another day of it would have cast me into a fever. So I will trespass on your hospitality a week longer, knowing how kindly disposed you've always been to the child of your early friend.
It would be strange indeed if the daughter of Duncan Gordon were not welcome here.
How has poor Jessie been since I left you?
I have but a sorrowful account of her.
Had she any rest last night? Does she look as wildly as she did? Were any strange noises heard in the chamber during the night?
Aye, noises that made me start and tremble, and feel a horrid consciousness that some being or other was in the room near me, though to the natural eye invisible.
What kind of sounds were they? Why did you think they were so near you?
I was sitting by the table, with my head resting on my hand, when the door leading from the back staircase, which I am certain I had bolted in the evening, burst open.
And what followed?
I verily thought to see some eldritch form or other make its appearance, and I sat for some moments riveted to my chair, without power to move hand or foot, or almost to breathe.
Yet you saw nothing?
Nothing.
And heard only the bursting of the door?
Only that for a time, but afterwards, when I listened intently, I heard strange whisperings near me, and soft steps, as of unshod feet, passing between me and the bed.
Footsteps?
Aye, and the curtains of the bed began to shake, as if touched by a hand, or the motion of some passing body. Then I knew that they were dealing with my poor child, and I had no power to break the spell of their witchcraft, for I had no voice to speak.
You had no power to speak?
No, though the Lord's Prayer was on my lips, I was unable to utter it.
Heaven preserve us! What a dreadful situation you were in. Did the poor child seem to notice anything?
I cannot say how she looked when the door burst open, but as soon as I could observe her, her eyes were wide open, gazing fixedly, as if some ugly visage were hanging over her, from which she could not turn away. And presently she fell into a convulsion, and I at that instant recovered my voice and my strength, and called nurse from her closet to assist her.
What did nurse think?
Nurse said she was sure that both Grizzled Bane and Mary McMurrin had been in the room, and this I will take my oath to, that afterwards, when she fell quiet, she muttered in her sleep in a thick, untunable voice, and amongst the words which she uttered, I distinctly heard the name of Mary McMurrin.
What an awful thing it is if people can have power from the evil spirit to inflict such calamity.
Awful indeed.
How can they purchase such power?
The ruin of a Christian soul is price enough for anything. Satan, in return for this, will bestow power enough to do whatever his bondswoman or bondsman listeth.
Yet they are always miserable and poor.
Not always, but malignant gratifications are what they delight in, and nothing else is of much value to them.
It may be so. It is strange and fearful.
I must go to my closet now and mix the medicine for poor Jessie to be ready at the proper time, for I expect the minister to pray by her tonight, and would have everything prepared before he comes.
Aye, if there be in reality such supernatural agency by which a breast fraught with passion in misery may find relief. Dreadful resource! I may not be so assisted. Oh, Dungarron, Dungarron, that a paltry girl who is not worthy to be my tirewoman. the orphan of a murderer, a man disgraced who died in a pit and was buried in a moor, one whose very forehead is covered with blushing shame when the eye of an irreproachable gentlewoman looks upon her, whose very voice doth alter and hesitate when a simple question of her state or her family is put to her, that a creature thus naturally formed to excite aversion and contempt should so engross thy affections. Oh, it makes me mad! May not be so assisted. Evil is but evil, and torment is but torment. I have felt both. I have felt them to extremity. What have I then to fear? Who is there?
Only me, madam.
What brings thee here?
I came to know if you would trust the Glasgow carrier, who has just come from the orders of the family, with your commission to the silk shop.
What art thou telling me?
Of your commission to the silk shop.
I don't understand thee.
The additional yards of silk that are wanted.
I want none, fool. Thy wits are bewildered.
Not my wits, madam. What will you please to have, then, for the trimming of your new mantua?
Newt skins and adder skins, if thou wilt.
That might do for the witch's gown, indeed. Grizzlebane might have a garniture of that sort.
What dost thou know of Grizzlebane?
Stories enow, if they be true. It is she, or Mary MacMurrin, who has, as they say, bewitched the poor young lady here, and it was a spell cast by her that made the farmer's pretty daughter fall over at the crag and break her leg the week before her wedding.
Before her wedding?
Yes, truly, madam, and no wedding at all will ever follow such an untoward mischance.
Who told thee this?
Everybody tells it, and knows it to be true. But the carrier is waiting. She does not heed me. What is the matter, madam? Are you not well?
Dost thou know Grizzlebane?
Heaven forfend.
Dost thou know where she lives?
Somewhere not far distant, I believe. Black Baldy, the herdsman, knows her den well enough.
Is he in the house at present?
Very likely, for this is the time when his cows are brought in for the milking.
Go find him, if thou canst, and send him to me immediately. If there be a spell to break wedlock, and to break affection also, it were well worth its purchase at any price, yea, though the soul's jeopardy were added to the gold.
I had not far to seek him. He stood waiting in the passage for the cooling of his brose.
Come nearer, Baldy. Dost thou know where Grizzlebane lives?
Aye, that I do, to my cost. She and her black cat too live over by my milk cows. Brindle and Hawkie give but half the milk they should give, and we wot well where the other half gangs to.
Never mind that, my good lad. Hie to her immediately, and tell her to come to me.
To you, lady?
Yes, to come to me without loss of time. There is money for thee. Do thy errand speedily and secretly. Let nobody know that I have sent thee.
And she's to come to you here, hidlings, as it were.
Yes, Baldy. And when she comes, let her wait for me in the cattle shed by the wood, and I'll meet her there. Dost thou understand me, man? Go quickly.
The night, lady?
Yes, tonight.
Ah.
Why dost thou look so scared?
I'm down a gang to her at night. God be with us. And I were to find her at her cantrips. I'd be better be beled in a bog or play coop carling over the Craig of Dalwhirry.
She must be very terrible to make thee so afraid.
When she begins to mutter with her white withered lips and her two glag eyne are glowering like glints of wildfire from the hollow of her dark bent brows, she's enough to make a trooper quake. Aye, with both sword and pistol by his side. No, no, lady. The sun must be up in the lift, and I venture to her den.
Thou will get there before it be dark, if thou make good speed.
No, though I had the speed of a marken. It is gloaming already. Black clouds are spreading fast over the sky, and far off thunder is growling. There is a storm coming on, and the fiends of the air are at work. I'd dinna gang till the morning.
Timid loon, retire then, and go in the morning. But see that thou keep the secret. I'll give thee more money if thou prove trusty and diligent.
The carrier will set off in a trice, madam.
Let him go.
And no orders given?
Give him what orders thou wilt, and plague me no more.
Act 1, Scene 2. Lady Dungaren's son returns home from hunting.
I'm right glad to see your honour returned, for the night draws on, and it would have been no joke, I trow, to have been belated on a haunted warlock moor, and thunder growling and the walk-in.
The sky indeed looks threatening.
And what sport has your honour had today? The birds grow wilder every year now.
Think you so, Anderson?
Truth do I? There's something uncanny about them too. It's a fearful time we live in.
I have done pretty well, however.
By my faith, she'll be glad enough of such a supply, for Madame Annabel is come back again with that Episcopal lassie from the Isle of Barra that reads out of a prayer book and calls herself Her Lady's Gentlewoman. Lord be merciful to us. The lady's bad enough, but Job himself could hardly tolerate that gentlewoman.
What has brought her back so soon? She was to have stayed a week in Dumbartonshire.
That's more than I can say. But here comes Black Baldy, who's sent for her to speak to her. Aye, and goed into that very parlour till her. He, may be, kens what has brought her back.
That's strange enough.
No more stranger than true. Into the very parlour I saw him set his dirty feet on the clean floor with my own eye.
So, Baldy, thou'rt become company for ladies in a parlour.
Toot, your honour. Anybody's good enough to haver with them when they're worrying.
What makes Mrs. Annabel return us to us so soon, if she be worrying?
Oh, she'll no worry now, when your honour has come home.
Has anything happened? She was to have stayed a week in Dumbartonshire.
Maybe she has been a week there, of her own reckoning, though we can only call it 2 days. Folks said when she goed away that she wouldn't be long away. It would be as easy to keep a moth from the candle or a cat from the milk house as to keep her away from the Tower of Dungaren. When the laird is at home.
What say'st thou, varlet?
Only what I hear folks say, your honour.
Go thy ways to thy loft and thy byre. Folks are saucy and teach lads to forget themselves. Take it in, Anderson. I thought to have crossed the threshold of my own house in peace, to be pestered with the passion of an indelicate vixen. She fastens her affection upon me like a doctor's blister sheet, strewed with all the stinging powders of the torrid zone for daring and desperate medication. And my gentle Violet, too. Must she be still subjected to her scornful looks and insulting insinuations? A noble spirit like hers, under such painful circumstances, to be exposed to such insolence. It shall not be. I will not suffer it. To affront a lady in my own house, not to be thought of. To leave the country at once and let the sea and its waves roll between us? Aye, this were well, were not all that is dear to me left behind. My mother, my poor afflicted sister, my dear, dear Violet, the noble, distressed Violet Murray. No, I will stay and contend with the termagant as I would with an evil spirit. Had she the soul of a woman within her, though the plainest and meanest of her sex, I would pity and respect her. But as she is, oh, shame upon it! She makes me as bad as herself. I know not what to do. I dare not enter yet.
Act 1, Scene 3. A wild moor at night. Thunder and lightning.
Aye. This sounds like the true sound of princedom and powerfulness.
It sounds royally. We shall no more be deceived. It will prove it true at last.
Oh, this very night we shall ken what we shall ken. We shall be with the beings of power. Oh, be with them and be of them.
It is an awful din, and tells with a lordly voice what is coming and at hand. We shall no more be deceived.
Do not tug at me so wickedly, Wilkin. Thou shalt have a belly full soon of the fat of the land, my poor glutton.
Oh, full meat, great meat, how it's coming.
Oh, we shall have what we listed last, milk and meat and malt.
Mingling and merrymaking, and revenge for the best sport of all.
Aye, the hated ones will pay the cost, I trow. We'll sit at our good cogs of cream, and think of the growling carle's cow with their udders lank and sapless, and the goodwife greeting o'er her churn.
There's good spice in that, woman, to relish far poorer fare.
They refused us a handful in our greatest need, but now it'll be well our turn to have flour sacks and baked cakes and kibbocks at command, while their armoury is bare.
There's good spice in that, Gimmer.
Hear ye that? The thunder grows louder and louder. And here she comes, oh, with her arms in the air, and her spirit as high as the clouds. Oh, her murky chief and his murky mates will soon come from all quarters of the world, I warrant ye, come trooping to their tryst.
Come, mighty master, come on the clouds and come on the wind, come for to loosen and come for to bind. Rise from the raging sea, rise from the mine. There's power in the night storm for thee and for thine.
Oh, dost thou really see him?
Dost thou see him? Or hear him?
Is he near us?
Is he on the moor?
Hold your peace, wretches. He may start up by your side in an instant and scare the very life from your body if you forget what I told you.
I have not forgotten it.
Nor I neither. We're to take hands first of all. And thine too, Wilkin. No, glutton, thou must give me thy hand and go round, as I told thee.
Round, pots be round, dishes be round, a full for Wilkin.
To the right, to the right, to the right we wheel, thou heaving earth, free passage give, our dark prince reveal. To the right, to the right, to the right we wheel, thou heaving earth, free passage give, our dark prince reveal. To the right, to the right, to the right we wheel, thou heaving earth, free passage give, and our dark prince reveal. To the left, to the left, to the left we go, ye folding clouds, ye curtain rend, and our great master show. To the left, to the left, to the left we go, the folding clouds, ye curtain rend, our great master show. Oh, to the left, to the left, to the left we go, ye folding clouds, ye curtain rend, and our great master show.
Is he coming yet?
Is he coming, Grizzlebane? I see nothing.
Hold thy peace, or I'll strangle thee. Is it for a wretch like thee to utter earthly words on the very verge of such an awful presence?
Oh, for God's sake, for Satan's sake, for any sake, let go thy terrible grip.
Oh, there's an astounding din to make your ears tingle, as if the welkin were breaking down upon us with its landing of terror and destruction. The lightning has done as I bade it. Oh, I see him. I see him now.
Where? I see nothing.
Nor I neither, Grizzle.
Look at the skirt of the cloud. His head, it's bending over like a knight from the keep of a castle. Hold ye quiet apace, quiet as the corpse in its coffin. He will be on the moor in a trice.
Troth, I think he will, for I'm trembling so.
Oh, I'm trembling too, woman, and so is poor Wilkin.
Aye, roar away, glare away, roar to the very outrage of roaring. Brave heralding, I trow, for the prince of power of the air. He will be here anon.
Oh, I'm sure he will, for my legs bend under me, so I cannot stand upright.
Oh, hold thy tongue, hold thy tongue. Look, he's on the moor. Look yonder where he's moving with strides like the steps of a man, and light by his side. Dost thou see it?
Oh, preserve us from scathe. I see like a man with a lantern. Dost thou see it, Elspeth?
Distinctly, and with what fearful strides he comes on.
Oh, it is him. He approaches. Bow your heads instantly to the earth and repeat the Lord's Prayer backwards if you can. Oh,
Murray approaches, carrying a lantern.
oh, do not pass from us. Stay with us. Speak to us, Satan. Our spells are shrewd and sure, and thou knowest we have served and will serve thee. Oh, turn not away. Give us power and we'll worship thee. Art thou not come to our tryst?
Miserable women, what brings you here at this hour in this place? With whom have you made a tryst?
Well, with thyself, mighty Satan, for we know thee well enough for all the screen of darkness that encircles thee.
What is your will with me?
Give us power, and we'll worship thee.
What power do you covet? Power over goods and chattels, or power over bodies and spirits? Say which by your compact you would purchase.
Both.
Ye ask too much. Take your choice of the one or the other.
What sayest thou, Elspeth?
I'll consider first.
Goods and chattel for my compact.
Oh, sorted caitiff, bodies and spirits for mine.
I will see to that at convenient season.
Oh,
Now.
Let us have it now, mighty master, and we'll swear to the compact on this spot.
Have ye considered it? Ye shall have your will on earth for a term, and then ye must serve me. Serve my will in the pit of fire and brimstone forever.
Be it so, and make this very night the beginning of our power.
Ye are rare mates indeed, to be so eagerly set upon evil.
Are we not, master? Swear us forthwith, and remove that dull darkness from thy presence. Call round thy liege of imps, and begin. Aye, they are all coming.
Where, Griseld?
A score of grinning faces to the right and to the left. Dost not thou see, blind mole that thou art? But where is he who was wont to attend thee, great chieftain? Thou hast never a liege man like him.
Whom dost thou mean, haggard dame?
Well, he with the wreath around his throat, the fellest and bravest of them all.
He shall be with me when I meet you again.
Oh, do not leave us now. Princely master, do not deceive us again. Bind us. Give us power ere we part.
Go to the further side of the wood, and I'll follow you. I may not bind you here, for I hear the sound of horses approaching. Begone! Mortal man must not disturb our rights.
Minister Rutherford rides by on his horse as the women and Wilkin go to the further side of the wood.
And so, there be verily such wretched creatures in the world who are, or desire to be, in league with the wicked one. It is a fearful and mortifying glimpse of human nature. I hope they have not scared my poor child upon her way, or rather, that this awful storm has prevented her from coming abroad. Oh, would I had not requested her to meet me, for I know her brave spirit and the strength of her affection. Neither storm nor danger will deter her. Why did I tempt her? Alas, my gentle child, is this the love of a parent? Here she is.
My father, my dear, dear father.
My own sweet Violet, all that I can call my own, and worth all that I have lost. But for thee, my dear child, I should in truth be what I am now. I all but myself believe it to be, no longer a being in this world.
Say not so, my dear father. Are there not kindness and humanity everywhere, whether you receive it under one name or another? And if this be not the case, take me with you, and you shall be no longer friendless and bereft.
No, Violet, that I will never do. To see thee by stealth, were it but a few times in the course of years, with sad, dreary intervals between, is still worth living for, and more than a man, stained with the blood of a fellow creature, deserves.
Why will you tax yourself so harshly? The quarrel was fastened on you.
Fool that I was, to let the angry reproaches of a fool get such mastery over me. Were reason and prowess bestowed upon me for such a despicable use? Oh, had Fotheringham, who stood by and was the only witness of the combat, endeavored, as he might have done, to reconcile us, that blood had never been shed.
But what is past is past. Let us think of the lot which is our portion now, of that which lies before us. I will love you always, and think of you always, and be with you always, if you will permit me. The rank and the fare and the home that are good enough for you are good enough for me. And if Fotheringham be still in life, he may again appear to clear you from this crime. In the meantime, your supposed death and your supposed body being found and buried by your friends give you in any distant retreat a complete security. Let me then, my dear father, go with you now, or follow you soon.
Is there not one to be left behind who is dear to you?
No one who is or ought to be so dear as you. And I shrink from the thought of being received into a family who will despise me.
Violet, thou art too proud. Thou hast got my infirmity by inheritance. I was proud once, but dead in men's belief and separated from the social world. I am now, as it were, a dead man in my own feelings. I look on the things of this earth as though I belong not to it. I am meek and chastened now, and will not encourage thee in the cherishing of imprudent, unreasonable pride. But we will talk of this elsewhere. I hear voices from the wood. Find us! I fear they will return when they find I do not join them.
Whom do you mean?
Didst thou meet nobody on the way?
Nobody but our good minister and his man, going, as I suppose, to the Tower of Dungarron to pray by the sick child.
I hope he did not see you.
I hope he did not, for I tried to conceal myself behind a bush, and he and the servant passed me in silence.
Oh. Let us leave this spot. Those creatures are returning to it. I will tell thee about them when we are in safety.
Act 1, Scene 4, the Dungarron home.
We may all go to our beds now that are not appointed to sit up.
Oh, what a terrible storm we've had. The brazen sconces in the hall with the guns, pistols, pikes, and claymores made such a clattering as if they were coming down upon our heads altogether, with the slates and rafters of the old roof on the top of all. I'm certain a thunderbolt struck somewhere or other in this unlucky house. Oh, I wish I were out of it.
It's a pity you did not get your wish then. I'm sure there's nobody rightfully belonging to this family that has any mind to balk it.
Don't be so hasty, Mr. Anderson. I had no intention to disparage the house of Dungarron, though there be neither silk nor tapestries on its walls like the houses I have lived in.
Well, be it so. Silk and tapestry may be plentier than manners in the rich island of Bora.
I have lived in other places than Bara, I assure you.
I do not doubt you have. But let us make no more quarreling about it now, when we should all be thankful that we were sheltered from such a storm in any house. Grizzled Bane and her mates were on the moor that night. I'll take my oath on it. God help any poor wanderer who may have been belated near their haunts. I would not have been in his skin for the best harvest fee that ever was paid into a lowlander's purse or a highlander's splucken.
Was not the minister expected?
Oh, he belike might cross the moor unscathed. It would be a bold witch or warlock that would meddle with the minister. And that is the reason, I reckon, why he would not believe there is any such thing in all the country about.
Oh, here comes Baldy. What keeps thee up, man?
I'm waiting for the minister.
Who bade thee wait? What is Duncan about?
He's about a Highlandman's business. Just doing nothing at all, and would be snoring on the settle in the turning of a bannock if fear would let him sleep.
Is he more afraid than the rest of you?
He has more cause, mistress. He has seen boggles enough in his time, and kens all the gates and fashions of them.
Has he indeed?
Aye, certes, by his own tale at least. We have heard of Malkins starting up in the shapes of old women and chased to a cross-running burn, but Duncan has seen it. No wonder if he be feared.
Well then, and thou will sit up. He'll tell the stories to keep thee from worrying. And I do not care if I join ye myself for an hour or so, for I am no wise disposed for my own bed in that dark turret chamber.
But gin ye keep company with stable loans and herds, Mr. Anderson, you'll give them, no doubt, a wee smack of your own higher calling. Is the key of the cellar in your pouch? My tongue's unco dry after all this fright.
Hi, you plucky thief. Dost thou think I'll heary the laird's cellar for thee or anybody? But there's the whiskey bottle in my own cupboard, with some driplets in it yet, that ye may take. And devil a drop more shall ye get, and thy tongue were as wizened as a spelding. I wonder who learned such a youngster as thee to be so pocky.
Oh, Baldy has by nature cunning enough to lose nothing for want of asking. And Mr. Anderson, too, has his own natural faculty for keeping what he has got. Good night to you both.
Good night to ye. I'm sure I'd rather bid you good night than good morrow at any time.
Act 1, Scene 5. Jessie Dungarron, sick in bed.
She asleep?
Yes, she has been asleep for some minutes.
Let me watch by her then, and go you to rest.
I dare not. Her fits may return.
The medicine you've given her will, I trust, prevent it. So do go to rest, my dear mother.
No, dear Robert, her disease is one over which no natural medicine has any power. As sure as there are witches and warlocks on earth, and we know there are, they have been dealing with her this night.
Be not too sure of this. The noise of the storm and the flashes of lightning might alarm her and bring on convulsions.
Ah, foolish youth! Thou art proud of thy heathenish learning thou hast gleaned up at college, and will not believe what is written in Scripture.
Nay, mother, say only that I do not believe such explanations of Scripture as have given countenance to superstitious alarm. Our good pastor himself attaches a different meaning to those passages you allude to, and has but little faith in either witches or apparitions.
Yes, he has been at college, good man as he is. Who else would doubt of it?
But Violet Murray has not been at college, and she has as little faith in them as Mr. Rutherford.
If Violet Murray's faith, or pretended faith, be the rule we are to go by, the devil in his bondsfolk will have a fine time of it in this unhappy county of Renfrew. She will take especial care to speak no words for the detection of mischief which she profits by.
Profits by? What means this foul insinuation?
Be not so violent, either of you. Soften that angry eye, Robert, and remember you are speaking to a lady.
And let her remember that she is speaking of a lady.
What rank the daughter of a condemned malefactor holds in the country, better heralds than I must determine.
Malignant and heartless reproach. Provoke me not beyond measure, Annabella. For this good woman's sake, for thine own sake, for the sake of female dignity and decorum, provoke me no more with words so harsh, so unjust, so unseemly.
Not so unseemly, Tungarin, as degrading the heir of an honorable house with an attachment so... But I will say no more.
You have said too much already.
Hush! Hush! For heaven's sake, be peaceable. You have wakened the child from her sleep. Look how she gazes about. Nurse! Nurse! Ho!
Are they tormenting her again? They have time now when they're storming their revelries past to cast their cantrips here, I trow. Oh, you ugly witch! Show your Elric face from behind the hangings. There are a score you about to break with a jockdollig.
Dost thou see anything?
I thought I just saw a waft of her haggard visage in the dark shadow of the bed and the hangings yonder. But see or no see, she is in this room, as sure as I am a Christian soul. What else should make the bairn stare so, in the wriggle with her body so miserably?
But are you not a bold woman, nurse, to threaten a witch so bloodily?
I'm bold enough to take vengeance at my own hand upon anybody that torments my bairn, though it were Satan himself. Howsomever, I carry about a leaf of the Bible sewed to my pouch now, for things have come to such a fearful pitch that crooked pens and rowan tree do next to no good at all. Bless his soul. I wish the minister were come.
And you have your wish, nurse, for here he is.
My good sir, you are welcome, but my heart reproaches me for having brought you from home in such a dreadful night. What is the matter with you?
He cannot speak.
Sit down in this chair, my good sir. He is going to faint.
Has the lightning touched you, dear sir?
Not the lightning.
Has aught happened to you on the moor?
Have you seen anything? He has seen something.
Have you seen anything, my good sir?
Not by God's grace that had any power to hurt me.
But you have seen something which has overcome your mind to an extraordinary degree. Were another man in your case, I should say that superstitious fears had o'ermastered him and played tricks with his imagination.
What is natural or unnatural, real or imaginary? Who shall determine? But I have seen that which, if I had saw it not, the unassisted eyesight can give testimony to nothing.
What was it?
What was it?
You saw, then, what has moved you so much, distinctly and vividly?
Yea, his figure and the features of his face, as distinctly in the bright glare of the lightning as your own now appear at this moment.
A man whom you knew and expected not to find at such an hour in such a place? But what of this? Might not such a thing naturally happen?
No, Robert Kennedy, he whose form and face I distinctly saw, he has been an indweller of the grave these 2 years.
Indeed. Are you sure of it?
I put his body into the coffin with mine own hands and helped to carry it to the grave. Yet there it stood before me in the bright blasting of the storm and seemed to look upon me too, with a look of recognition most strange and horrible.
Whose ghost was it? Who was the dead man you saw?
I reckoned, madam, but upon one listener.
Nay, be not angry with her. Who can well refrain from listening to such a tale? And be not angry with me neither, when I ask you one question, which it so much concerns me to know. Saw you aught besides this apparition? Any witches or creatures of evil?
I will answer that question, lady, at another time and in greater privacy.
He has seen them. It is evident he has. But some of his friends might be amongst them. There may be good cause for secrecy and caution.
Why do you press so unsparingly upon a man whose spirits have, from some cause or other, received such shock?
I forgive her, Dungarin. Say no more about it. It is God's goodness to me that I am here unhurt, again to do the duty of a Christian pastor to my dear and friendly flock now convened. Let me pray by the bed of the poor suffering child, for her, for myself, and for all here present.
Let us put her in a different position before he begin. She must be tired of that. For see, she moves again, uneasily.
Most extraordinary and appalling apparition you've seen. What do you think of it?
What can I think of it, but that the dead are sometimes permitted to revisit the earth, and that I verily have seen it.
I would more readily believe this than give credit to the senseless power and malevolence of witchcraft, which you have always held in derision.
It is presumption to hold anything in derision.
Say you so, in this altered tone of voice? Have you met with anything tonight to change your opinions on this subject? Have you seen any of the old women so strangely spoken of on the moor?
Would that I had only seen such.
The voice in which you speak, the expression with which you look upon me makes me tremble. Am I concerned with aught that you have seen?
You are, my dear Robert, and must think no more of Violet Murray. Yes, it has stricken you to the heart. Think upon it as you ought. I expect no answer.
But I will try. I must answer you, for I can't believe nothing that accuses her.
Were a daughter of my own concerned, I could not be more distressed.
It makes me distracted to hear you say so.
Go to thine own room and endeavor to compose thy mind, and I will pray for thee here. Pray for thyself too in private. Pray earnestly, for there is, I fear, a dreadful warfare of passion abiding thee.
Act 2, Scene 1. Mary McMurrin's cottage. Her son Wilkin is looking for food.
No, no. Tune yet. Milk none, porridge none. Tune here, tune there. Well, worth it to say they would be full and they're not full. Well, worth it all.
Hands off, I tell thee.
Hast brought anything? Give it.
Stand off, I say. None of your witch nips for me. I have maybe bought what I win a lake, and I would wait enough to ken what it is.
Wilt kill me?
Aye, fool as he is, he's frightened for it. The true mark of Walrickery. They have linked him in with the rest. Oh, nothing's o'er waft for Satan, and it has soul of any kind to be taint.
Wilt kill me?
No, but I'll score thy imp's brow with it. That's what I'll do. And they'll lay a finger on me. Oh, but dinna glower so. Stand off a bit and answer my questions. There's Silverthea. Was thou on the moor in the night time with thy mother?
Mother?
Aye, was thou on the moor with her when the thunder roared?
Thunder roared, fire roared, thunder roared.
Aye, and ye were there?
Aye, there.
And who was there beside?
beside?
Beside thee and my mother. What saw you there?
Oh, black man. Fired!
Oh, God save us. I was seeing the devil then. Bodily.
Devil! Devil!
Keep me from scathe. Oh, that I should stand so near one that has been with Satan himself. What did thou see forby?
So folk.
What folk? Old women.
Old women, young women, I saw them all on fire.
But saw a young woman. Was it Maggie Kirk's crooked daughter?
Nah, Joe, young woman.
Or what's her name? What did they call her?
Lady, young lady, on fire.
Oh, God save us all. Can this be true?
I'll take amends of her for cheating us again.
And so will I, spiteful Carlin. Will nobody have power but herself?
Oh, there's power to be had, that's certain. Power that can raise the storm and the fiend. Aye, that can do anything. But where are to be poor yet? Neither meat nor money after all's done.
Neither vengeance nor glamoury, for all the wicked thoughts we have thought, for all the fearful words we have spoken, for all the backwards prayers we had prayed. I'll rive her eyes out of her head, though they should glare from us from their hollow sconces like corpse kennels from a gravestone.
Even the poor cogs are as tomb as before, and my poor Idiot is hungry. Hast thou had anything, Wilkin? Ha! What hast thou with thee? What brought thee here and a mischief to thee? Thou's Dungaren's herd, I reckon.
I came from the Tower of Dungaren with an errand. I would hie you to it.
Tell thy errand then, and no lurk that gate in a nook like a thou-mart in a dowcot. For if you come here with an errand that thou shalt rue it, without an errand thou shalt rue it dearly to the last hour of thy life.
Isn't it this Grizzled Bean's house?
No, silly loon. It's my house. She's but a renegade, scrawny, from faraway parts, that came to be my lodger. Aye, and she may go as she came. For me, I'll no harbour her any more. No more Grizzled Bane in my house, to reave and to harry me so. She must pack off with herself this very day.
Ah, who speak of Grizzled Bane with such unwary words? Repeat them, I pray thee. Ha! Thou wilt not. And what hast thou to say of Grizzled Bane? Ah, and thou too art silent before my face.
There is a callant from Dungaren in the nook that comes on an errand to thee.
Do not tremble so, silly child. What is thy errand?
She bade me, she bade me say, you must come to her.
To whom? And where? Oh, thou speakest as if my hand were already on thy throat, where it shall be very soon, if thou tell not the errand more distinctly.
A stranger lady at the tower, the Lady Annabel, desires that you would meet with her in the lone shed near the outer gate in the afternoon. Give me an answer, and please ye.
Where there be ladies, and where there be lords, mischief is making with glances and words. Work is preparing for pistols and swords.
Is that an answer?
She may take it as one. But if it please thee better, thou may say to her, I will do as she desires. And take this token with thee, youngster.
No, thank you, I have answer enough.
And ye are dissatisfied, forsooth. You must have power as you will, and when you will.
Thou hast deceived us.
Was there not storm enough to please ye?
Enough to crack the welkin, but what got we by it?
Did he not come in the storm? Did he come in the storm? Did you not see him and hear him?
Certes did he, but what got we by it? He keepeth not his tryst with us a second time, and we gaed wearily home on our feet, as wet and poor as we come.
Oh, that false tongue. He rode upon clouds. I saw you pass over my head, and I called to you.
The woman is a fiend. We're bereft altogether. I walk at home on my feet, and gaed to my miserable bed just as any other time, and so did she.
But rode ye not afterwards, my chucks? I saw you both pass over my head, and I called to you.
If we were upon clouds, we were sleeping all the while, for I ken nothing about it. Do ye, neighbour?
I dare not just say as ye say, Kimmer, for I dreamt I was flying in the air, and somebody behind me.
Aye. Ye will discern mist and mysteries at last. But ye must have power, forsooth, as ye list and when ye list. If he did not keep tryst in the night, let us cast a spell for him in the day, when the doors and windows are darkened. Midday is as potent as midnight. Shut out the light and begin. But if he roar and rage at you when he does come, that is no fault of mine.
No. Did I bring him up now?
Ah, black of mien and stern of brow, dark one, dread one, hear me now. Come with potency and speed, come to help me in my need. Kith and kindred have I none, ever wandering, ever lone. Black of mien and stern of brow, dark one, dread one, hear me now. Oh, he is at hand. The floor yawns under my feet, and the walls are running round. He is here. Oh. Is it thou? Oh, it's thou. Art thou risen in thy master's stead? It becomes thee to answer my call. It is no weak tie that has bound us together. I loved thee in sin and in blood. When the noose of death wrung thee, I loved thee, and now thou art a dear one and a terrible with the prince of power of the air. Grant what I ask, grant it quickly. Give me thy power, I have earned it. Oh, but this is a mean and narrow den, a cave. Cave of the Lynn is near, where water is soughing and fern is waving. The bat wings clutch o'erhead, and the lithe snake is stirring below. To the cave, we'll hold our council there.
Act 2, Scene 2, a flower garden outside the cottage of Violet Murray.
The lily and the rose and the gillyflower, things the most beautiful in nature, planted and cherished by a hand as fair and as delicate as themselves. Innocence and purity should live here. I, and do live here. Shall the ambiguous whisper of a frightened night-scared man be his understanding and learning that they may shake my confidence in this? It was foolish to come on such an errand. Yet, being here, I had better have some parley with her. I may learn incidentally from her own lips what will explain the whole seeming mystery. Pretty pansy, thou hast been well tended since I brought thee from the south country with thy pretty friend, the carnation by thy side. Aye, and ye are companions still. Thou too hast been well cared for, and all thy swelling buds will open to the sun ere long.
You are to come to look after your old friends, Dagarin.
I have friends here worth looking after, if beauty and sweetness give value. Thou art an excellent gardener, Violet. Things thrive with thee wonderfully, even as if they were conscious whose flowers they are and were proud of it.
Ah, that were no cause for pride. Methinks if they were conscious whose flowers they are, they would droop their heads and wither away.
Say not so. Thou art melancholy. The storm has affected thy spirits. Those who are abroad in it say that the lightning was tremendous.
It was tremendous.
And the rolling of the thunder was awful.
It was awful.
And the moor was at times one blaze of fiery light, like returning bursts of midday, giving everything to view for an instant in the depth of midnight darkness. One who was there told me so. And more than that, a strange, unlikely story. But thou hast no desire to hear it. Even natural curiosity has forsaken thee. What is the matter?
Nothing is the matter. Tell me whatever you please, and I will listen to it. Were witches on the moor?
Yes, witches were there, but that is not my story. There was a form seen on the moor, most unlike anything that could be evil. Thou art pale and disturbed. Hast thou a guess of my meaning?
The moor is wide, and benighted wanderers might be upon it of different forms and degrees.
But none who could look like one whom nevertheless 'tis said it did resemble.
Oh, nay, nay, Dungarin, do not amuse yourself with me. If the devil has power to assume what form he pleases, that will account for your story at once. If he has not, you have only to suppose that a silly girl with her plaid over her head was bewildered by the storm at her trysting place, and that will explain it sufficiently.
These are light words, methinks, to follow upon melancholy gravity so suddenly.
If my words displease you, Dungarin, there is more cause for sorrow than surprise, and the sooner I cease to offend, the better.
Violet Murray of Torwood.
Robert Kennedy of Dungarin.
What am I to think?
Thoughts are free. Take your range. Thinking is better than speaking for both of us, and so, if you please, we shall wish each other good morning.
We must not part, my Violet. Had any woman but thyself used me thus, but what of that? I love thee and must bear with thee.
No, Robert Kennedy, thou lovest me not. There is suspicion harbored in thy mind, which love would have spurned away.
They not harbored, oh no, spurned and rejected, yet, like a trodden adder, turning and rearing again. I ask to know nothing that thou seekest to conceal. Say only that thou wert in thy own home during the night, as I'm sure thou wert, and I will be satisfied, though all the diabolical witnesses of Renfrewshire were set in array against thee.
Must I be forced to bear witness in my own behalf? There is one who should bear witness for me, and lacking that evidence, I scorn every other.
And where is that witness to be found?
In the heart of Dungarin.
Thou wringst it to the quick. I am proud and impetuous, but have I deserved this haughty reserve? Dost thou part with me in anger?
I am angry, and must leave thee, but perhaps I am wrong in being so.
Indeed, thou art wrong.
But thou charitable then, and forgive me. But for the present, let us part.
Her behavior is strange and perplexing. Was her anger assumed or sincere? Was she or was she not on that accursed moor, some silly girl bewildered by the storm at her trysting place? Were these not her words? Aye, by my faith, and glancing at the truth, too obviously, at the hateful and distracting, the hitherto unsuspected truth, it is neither witch, warlock, nor devil with whom she held her tryst. Yea, but it is a devil whom I will resist to perdition. It is a devil who will make me one also. Oh, this proud rising of my heart, it gives the cruelty of distraction, and but for the fear of God within me, would nerve my hand for blood.
Robert, Robert, what mean those tossing of the arms, those gestures of distraction? You doubt my faith. You think me unworthy, and it moves you to this fearful degree. If I deserve your attachment, and I deserve to be trusted, think of this, dear Robert, for it kills me to see you so miserable.
Dear, you call me dear only because you pity me.
I call thee dear because, oh, out on thee, Robert Kennedy. Hast thou no more generosity than this?
Oh, forgive me. Forgive me. I have treated thee ungenerously and unjustly. Forgive me, my own sweet girl.
I will not only forgive thee, but tell thee everything when I am at liberty to do so. Let us now separate. I have a need of rest.
Act 2, Scene 3, the Dungarron home.
What's the cunning loon standing with his lugs so near the door for? What's thou doing there, rascal? Who gives thee leave to come near the chambers of gentlefolks and lie thy blackened lugs so close to the keyhole?
As for gentlefolks, they come to me oftener than I gang to them. And as for my lug, there was no need to lay it to the keyhole when the door was half open.
Catch thee who can, unprovided with a ready answer. Thou hast the curiosity of the devil in thee, and his cunning to boot. What business hast thou to pry into people's secrets?
A secret, forsooth, told with an open door and voices as loud as two waves cracking in the loam. And God be with us all. They were only talking of what we are all talking or thinking of, from morning till night and from Sabbath day till Saturday.
And what is that, never-do-well?
What should it be but witchcraft and the young lady? Oh, but this last bout, I trow, is the strangest bout of all.
What has happened now?
As I was passing by the door, I heard nurse tell the Lady Annabel how the young lady was frightened from her rest as she lay in her bed with the room darkened.
And how was that?
Witches came into the room. I cannot tell how many of them. And one of them came upon the bed and almost smothered her.
The Lord preserve us.
Aye, and she would have been smothered altogether had she not caught hand of the witch's arm and squeezed it so hard that the witch ran away and left a piece of the gown sleeve in the young lady's hand.
It was Grizzlebane or Mary McMurrin. I'll be bound for it.
Who it was she couldn't see, for she couldn't see in the dark.
But the piece of the gown sleeve will reveal it. Show me that and I'll ken who it was with certainty. I ken every gown and garment belonging to them.
Oh, so does nurse too. Oh, but the young lady took a fit as the Rudies left the chamber. She has lost the cloth.
That was a pity. The chamber must be searched for it carefully, else they'll come again and with some contrap or either join it into the sleeve it was riven from, as if it had never been riven at all. But go to thy crowdy man, and do not tine a meal for a marvel. Thou hast no business here. The kitchen and the byre set thee better than lobbies and chambers. That callant lurks about the house like a brownie. He's a clever varlet too. He can read the kittle names in the testament and ding the dominie himself at the questions and carriages. He's as cunning and as covetous as any grey-haired sinner in the parish. A convenient tool, I suspect, in the hands of a very artful woman.
Act 2, Scene 4, Annabella's room in the Dungarron home.
What can detain her so long? Could she miss finding him? He is seldom far off at this hour of the day, when broth and beef are on the board, and he can send a boy to the hill as his substitute. I wish the sly creature would come, for time passes away, and with it, perhaps opportunity.
He's here, madam.
That's well. Let him enter immediately, and do thou keep watch in the outer room. I want thee to do an errand for me again, Baldy. Do not look so grave and so cowed, man. Thou shalt be well paid for it.
Ah, well, I'm ready enough to do any errand. Can there be no witchery concerned with it?
And what the worse wilt thou be if there should? Didst thou not go to Grizzled Bane this morning and return safe and sound as before, both soul and body, with a good crown in thy pocket to boot?
Certes, my body came back safe enough, but for my poor soul, Lord have mercy on it. For when I go to my cows on the hill again, I tried to croon over to myself the 116th Psalm and Second Commandment, and I could hardly remember a word of them. Oh, she's an awful witch, and she scares the very wit from one's noddle.
Never fear, Baldy. He's left thee enough of that behind to take care of thine own interest. Thou hadst wit enough, at least, to do thy business with her, for she came to me in good time to the spot which I appointed.
Huh, if she kens the police, she may meet you there again without my ganging after her. The Lord preserve us. I wouldn't enter that house again for 2 crowns.
Be not afraid, man. It is not to that house I would send thee. And thou shalt have 2 crowns for thy errand, though it be both an easy and a short one.
As for that, madam, and it were both long and hard, I wouldn't mind it. So as it be an errand a Christian body may do.
A Christian body may go and speak a few words privately to Mrs. Violet Murray's pretty maid, I should think.
Oh, there's no great harm in that, to be sure.
And a Christian body may slip a crown quietly into her hand and...
Aye, one of the 2 you spoke of.
No, indeed, Baldy, a 3rd crown, which I will give thee to take from thine own pocket and put into her pretty hand. Perhaps it may prove the forerunner of some other token between you. She's a good tight girl, but few years older than thyself. She may take a fancy to thee.
Ah, Madam Annabel, somebody has been telling you that I have a fancy for her, for they never devour with their havers. But what is she to do for the crown? For I reckon she must want it some way or another.
In a very easy way. Tell her to send me her mistress's striped lutestring gown, for I want to look at the pattern of it, and I will restore to her immediately.
Is that all?
Only thou must make her promise to conceal from her mistress and from everybody that I borrowed the gown. Be sure to do that, Baldy.
Well, that's very curious now. Where would be the harm of telling that you just looked at it?
Thou art so curious, boy. There's no concealing anything from thee. Art thou silly enough to believe that I only want to look at it?
No, I guess there was somewhat behind it.
And thou shalt know the whole, if thou wilt promise to me solemnly not to tell anybody.
I'll tell nobody. Not give my own mother what to ask. She would never get a word of it, and then from me.
I have been consulting with Grizzled Bane about what can be done to relieve our poor sick child from her misery, for those who put her into it can best tell how to draw her out of it. And she says, a garment that has been upon the body of a murderer, or the child of a murderer, it does not matter which, put under the pillow of a witched bairn, will recover it from fits, were it ever so badly tormented. But mark me well, should the person who owns the garment ever come to the knowledge of it, the fits will return again, as bad as before. Dost thou understand me?
I understand you well enough, but will witches speak the truth when the devil is their teacher?
Never trouble thy head about that. We can but try. Fetch me the gown from thy sweetheart, and thou shalt have more money than this by and by.
Since you will call her my sweetheart, I cannot help it. Though I ken well enough it's but mocking.
Go thy ways, and do as I bid thee, without loss of time, and thou wilt soon find it good, profitable earnest. She'll make a very good thrifty wife, and thou a good Merlin drover, when thou art old enough. Now shall I have what I panted for, and far better too than I hoped. To be tormented by witchcraft is bad, but to be accused and punished for it is misery so exquisite that to purchase it for an enemy were worth a monarch's ransom. Aye, for an enemy like this, who has robbed me of my peace, stolen the affections of him who I have loved so ardently and so long, yea, who has made me, in his sight, hateful and despicable. I will bear my agony no longer. The heart of Dungarin may be lost forever, but revenge is mine, and I will enjoy it. It is a fearful and dangerous pleasure, but all that is left for me. Oh, oh, that I should live to see him the doting lover of a poor, homely, for homely she is, let the silly world call her what they please, artful girl, disgraced and degraded, the daughter of a murderer saved only from the gibbet by suicide or accident, that I should live to witness this. But having lived to witness it, can revenge be too dearly purchased? No, though extremity of suffering in this world and beyond this world were the price. Seize, ye fearful thoughts! I shall but accuse her of that of which she is, perhaps, really guilty. Will this be so wicked, so unpardonable? How could a creature like this despoil such a woman as myself of the affections of Dungarin or on any other man, but by unholy arts?
Madam, there are people in the passage.
And what care I for that?
You were speaking so loud, I thought that there was somebody with you.
Whom dost thou look for? Could anyone be here without passing through the outer room?
I crave your pardon, madam. They can enter by holes, as I have heard say that they would keep out a moth or a beetle.
Go, foolish creature. Thy brain is wild with the tales thou hast heard in this house. Did I speak so loud?
Truly, madam, I, and with such violent change of voice that I could not believe you alone.
I was not aware of it. It is a natural infirmity, like talking in one's sleep. My mother had the same. I'll go to the garden where the flowers and fresh air will relieve me.
Are you unwell?
Yes, girl. But say so to no one, I pray thee.
Act 3, Scene 1, near a cave by a brook.
Indeed, thou canst not pass this way.
I don't mind it at all. The water will do me no harm.
Thou shalt not wet thy feet, my dear child. When a father's arms are here, so able and so happy to carry thee.
Set me down, my dear father. I am heavy.
I could carry thee to the world's end, my own dear girl. Oh, that thou wert again a baby, and mine arms locked round thee as of yore.
I remember it, father.
Dost thou, sweet one? Ah, thee in my arms, and she whom I loved by my side, and thy pretty wordless lips cooing to us by turns and utterance that made all words contemptible. Alas, alas, such days and many bright succeeding days have been and are gone. The fatal passion of a few short moments has made me a homeless outlaw, while reproach instead of protection is a father's endowment for thee.
Dear, dear father, do not reproach yourself so harshly. If the world call what you have done by a very dreadful name, it is not a true one. Equal fighting, though for a foolish quarrel, deserves not that appellation.
Whatever it may deserve, it will have it, when there is no witness to prove the contrary. Father Ingram alone was present, and he disappeared on the instant. When my trial came, I could not prove that the man I had slain fell in equal combat, nay, was the real aggressor in first attacking me.
It was cowardly and strange. It was not the act of a friend to disappear and leave you so exposed.
Some evil fate befell him. He was not alive, I am certain, when I was apprehended, else he would have come forward like an honest, manly friend in my justification. The sentence of death is upon me. A mark of pain is on my forehead. I am driven from the fellowship of men.
Say not so, for you have by the accidental death of your servant been, as it were, providentially saved from a fearful end. And being so saved, I must needs believe that some better fortune is in reserve for you.
Poor Donald. I believe he would willingly have died for my sake, and Providence did so dispose of him. I little thought, after my escape from prison, when I had changed apparel with him, how completely our identity was to be confounded. He lies in the grave as James Murray of Torwood, in an unhallowed grave, as a murderer.
Were you near him when he fell in the pit?
Dear Violet, thou art bewildered to ask me such a question. When we had changed clothes completely, and I had even forced him upon him as a gift, which he well deserved, the gold watch and seals of my family, we parted. And when his body was discovered, many weeks afterwards, face, as I understand, from the mutilation of bruises and corruption, was no longer recognizable. But this is a mournful subject, and it is useless to dwell upon it now.
Very true. Let us speak of those things for which there is still cause of thankfulness. The Irish home you have found on the mountains of Wicklow, is it not a pleasant one?
Pleasant to those who look on sky and cliff, on wood and torrent, to rouse and refresh the mind. In the intervals of such retirement as hath a purpose and a limit, the lonely outcast, what scene is pleasant? Meanest man who plies his honest trade in the narrow lane of a city, where passerbys may wish him a good day or bid Godspeed him, has a domicile and a home, which I think of within me.
Oh, do not then live any longer in this deserted situation.
I know what thou wilt offer, but it must not be.
Why so? Since I have lost my dear mother and have no farther duty to detain me here, may I not cross the sea with you now and spend some time with you in Wicklow? It will be thought that I am gone to visit our Irish relation.
No, my affectionate child, that may not be.
I should go to our relation first, and nobody should know that I went anywhere else but Dungarron, nor shall I even tell him without your permission.
Which thou shalt never have.
Why do you utter those words so vehemently? He is honorable and true.
He is thy lover, and thou believest him to be so.
Are you displeased that he is my lover?
Yes, I am displeased, for he will never be thy husband.
Oh, think not so hardly of him. In his heart there is honor even stronger than affection. And if I might tell him of your being alive, I can...
Art thou mad? Art thou altogether bereft of understanding? Swear to me on the faith of a Christian woman that thou wilt never reveal it.
He is incapable of betraying anyone, and far less me.
Hold thy tongue, simple creature. Every man seems true to the woman whose affections he hath conquered. I know the truth of man and the weakness of woman. Reason not with me on the subject, but solemnly promise to obey me. I should feel myself as one for whom the rope and the gibbet are preparing, should any creature but thyself know of my being alive.
Woe is me. This is misery indeed.
Do not look on me thus with such mingled pity and surprise. Call what I feel an excess of distrust, a disease, a perversion of mind, if thou wilt, but solemnly promise to obey me.
Let my thoughts be what they may, I dare not resist the will of a parent. I solemnly promise.
I am satisfied and shall return to my boat, which waits for me on the climb near the mouth of this burn, with a mind assured on so important a point, and assured of thy good conduct and affection. I hear a noise.
'Tis the moving of some owlet or hawk in the reft of the rock overhead. To this retired spot of evil report no human creature ever ventures to come, even at midday.
I remember it used to be called the Warlock's Den and had some old legendary pretensions to the name. There is a noise.
Who's there?
It is Dingarin. What shall we do? Begone, father?
I must stand to it now. He will be down upon us in an instant. It is too late to avoid him.
No, it is not. He shall not come down. Robert Kennedy, is it thou?
Does the voice of Violet Murray dare to ask me the question?
Stay where thou art and come no farther. I dare ask of thee to be secret and to be generous.
Distracting and mysterious creature, I obey thee.
He retires, and we are safe. Let us now separate. Farewell, my dear father. You will come and see me again?
I hope next summer to pay thee another and a less hurried visit. Farewell. No, do not embrace me.
He is retired and will not look again.
Be not too confident. Farewell. And remember thy solemn promise. My ship will sail for Ireland tomorrow. Morning early, and thou shalt hear from me soon.
If they should meet without, and they may do so, but that must not be. Dungarin, art thou still within hearing? I cannot speak to thee in so loud a voice. Come down to me here.
Dungarin climbs down to the cave.
Oh, Robert Kennedy, look not on me thus. I meant to thank you for your friendly forbearance, but now I have no utterance. I cannot speak to you when you look so upon me.
Silence is best where words were vain and worthless.
You deserve thanks, whether you accept them or not.
To obey the commands of a lady deserves none.
Nay, but it does, and I thank you most gratefully. He who was with me is gone, but
will return again, no doubt, when the face of a casual intruder will not interrupt your conference.
Oh, no, he will not return, may not ever return. Who he is and where he goes and how I am bound to him, oh, how I long to tell thee all and may not.
What I have seen with mine eyes leaves you nothing to tell which I am concerned to hear.
Be it so, since the pride of your heart so far outmates its generosity.
You've put it out of my power to be generous, but you desire me to be secret and shall be obeyed. Is it your pleasure, madam, that I should conduct you to your home, since he who was with you is gone?
that I accept of a service so offered shows too well how miserably I am circumstanced. But I do accept it. Let me leave this place.
Not by the burn, the water is too deep.
I came by it. There is no other way.
Came by it. And dry shod too. He who was with thee must have carried thee in his arms.
Yes, he did, but now I will walk through the stream. Wet feet will do me no injury.
There is another passage through a cleft rock on this side, concealed by the foxglove and fern.
Lead on then, and I'll follow.
Act 3, Scene 2, the Dungarin home.
Nurse, I say, is the woman deaf?
What are ye roaring after me for? Can a body get no peace or comfort on any time of the day or night? Neither of them, by my troth, bring muckle rest to me.
That may be, but your tankard comforts that belong, as it would seem, to bathe day and night, must be stinted at present, for the sheriff and all his rascally officers from Paisley are at the gate, and writers beside, Lord preserve us, with inkhorns at their buttons and papered in their hands. Go tell the lady quickly and set your tankards down.
For the sheriff officers to lay their lugs in. No. Smaller brews may serve them. I'll make sure of some of it.
I wonder where the Lord is. It's an unchancy time for him to be out of the gate. Donald! Where's the Lord? He should be here to receive the sheriff.
He's no in the house.
Go and find him in the fields then.
He's no in the fields neither.
Where is he then?
Be a clever fellow, I reckon, that finds him on the hither side of Dumbarton.
How dost thou ken that so well? What should take him to Dumbarton?
His own ill humour, I believe, for he returned from the fishing with his knit brows as grumly as a thundercloud on the peak of Bunlowman, and desired me to saddle his mare. He took the road to the ferry without speaking another word. The last sight I got of the mare and him was from the Black Crag Head, where they were both in the boat together, halfway over the Clyde.
That's unlucky. I must go to the gate and receive the sheriff myself as credibly as I can.
You may save yourself that trouble, I trow, for he has made his way into the house already.
We would see the Lord Dungarin.
He's from home, and please, your honour.
From home? Are you sure of this? We come on no unfriendly errand.
I make no doubt of that, your honour, but he is from home and far afield too.
That's unfortunate, for I'm here officially to examine the members of this household. His mother, I presume, is home?
Yes, your honour. The lady is at home and will come to you immediately.
It is said you have been disturbed with strange noises and visitations in this family, and that the young lady is more tormented than ever. What kind of noises have been heard?
Oh, Lord, your honour, such ill-rich din. I can compare it to nothing. Sometimes it's like the soughing of wind, and sometimes it's like the howling of dogs.
Sometimes like the mewling of cats, and sometimes like the clattering of broomsticks.
Sometimes like the hooting of howlets, or sometimes like a black sow grunting.
A black sow grunting?
Aye, please, your honour. The grunt of a black sow is as devil-like as its colour. I would ken it in the dark from any white sow that ever wore a snout.
Well, sometimes hooting of owlets and the grunting of a black sow.
Aye, and sometimes like a big
Spare me, good folks. I can listen to only one at one time. Good day, and my good services to you, Lady Dungarin. I'm sorry the Lord is away from home. My visit may perhaps disturb you.
Do not say so, Sheriff. I am at all times glad to see you. But were it otherwise, we are too well accustomed to be disturbed in this miserable house to think much of anything.
Well, I'm very sorry for it. Very sorry that your daughter continues so afflicted. Have you any knowledge of this paper? The information contained in it causes my present intrusion.
I know nothing of the paper itself, but the information it conveys is true.
Have you ever seen the handwriting before?
No. Yes, I think I have. Look at it. Annelle? Annabella, it is somewhat like your own.
Here, madam, how can you say so? The L's and the M's and the N's are all joined stiffly together, and you know very well that I never join my letters at all.
Oh, very true, cousin. I see that there is a great difference now, and I don't know whose hand it is, though doubtless the hand of a friend, for we cannot remain in this misery much longer. It should be examined into, that the guilty may be punished and prevented from destroying my poor child entirely.
Has any person of ill repute been admitted to see her? Who has been in her chamber?
Who has been visibly in her chamber, we can easily tell, but who has been invisibly there, the Lord in heaven knows.
Have they never been visible to the child herself, whom they torment?
She has stared as though she saw them.
She has shrieked as though they laid hold of her.
She has clenched her hands as if she had been catching at them.
Aye, and moved her lips so, as if speaking to them. I saw her do it.
And so did I, and saw her grin and shake her head so most piteously.
And I saw her.
Softly, good women. 3 tellers are too many for one tale, and 3 tales are too many for one pair of ears to take in at any one time. Has she ever told you that she saw witches by her bedside?
Yes, several times she has told me so, in wild and broken words.
Only in that manner?
You forget, madam, to mention to the sheriff that she told us distinctly a few hours ago how a witch had been sitting on her breast as she lay in bed, and that when she struggled to get rid of her, she rent a piece from the sleeve of her gown.
The witch rent the sleeves from her gown?
No, Your Honor. Our poor child rent the piece from the sleeve of the witch's gown.
Has the piece been found?
Yes, it has.
Yes.
Silence, I say. Have the goodness to answer, madam. Has the rag been preserved?
It has, sir, but it is no rag, I assure you.
As good silk, Your Honor, as ever came from the Lochinbus of Edinburgh.
Are not witches always poor and old? The devil must have helped this one to a new gown, at least. And that is more than we have ever heard of any doing of any of them before.
We have heard and read of witches who have been neither old nor poor.
Is there warranty from sober, sensible books for such a notion? I mean, I am no great scholar on such points. It may be so, but here comes the minister. His better learning will assist us. I thank you, Reverend Sir, for obeying my notice so quickly. Your cool head will correct our roused imaginations. You believe little, as I have heard, of either apparitions or witches.
My faith on such subjects was once indeed but weak.
And have you changed it lately? Since when has your faith become stronger?
Since the storm on Friday night, when Mary McMurrin and her crew were on the moor.
Silence, I say again. Can the minister not answer for himself without your assistance? You heard my question, Mr. Rutherford. Were you upon the moor on that night?
I was.
And saw you aught upon the moor contrary to godliness and nature?
What I saw I will declare in fitter time and place, if I must needs do so.
Well, you are cautious, good sir. And perhaps it is good to be so. Lady Dungarn, with your permission, I will go back into the sick chamber and examine your daughter myself.
You have my permission most willingly. Follow me immediately, if you please, and ask the poor child what questions you think fit. Mr. Rutherford, do you choose to accompany us?
And he'll give no answer at all, even to the sheriff.
Certes, were he 10 times a minister, he should have told what he saw to the sheriff of the country.
A gentleman born and bred, and the king's appointed officer in the bargain.
And he winna tell what he saw afore us, forsooth. For that's what he means by fitter time and place. Foul befall his discretion. He would not believe in witches, I trow, but they have cowed him well for that at last.
To be sure, he looked both ghastly and wan when the sheriff speared what he saw upon the moor.
Aye, it was some fearful sight, no doubt. God's grace preserve us at the very thought of what might be God's. My head grew cold like a turnip.
It was surely something worse than witches dancing that frightened the minister.
As you say, Donald, either Highlander or Lowlander has wit enough to guess that. I like none of your ministers that'll speak nowhere but in the pulpit. Fitter time and place, quotha.
Hoot toot, woman. He has gotten his learning at the college, and he thinks shame to be frightened.
Fall befoul him, and his learning too. It maun be us a new fangled kind, I think. Our old minister had learning enough, both Hebrew and Latin, and he believed in witches and warlocks, honest man, like any other sober, goodly person.
So he did, nurse. You're a sensible woman, but somewhat to the loudest when you're angry. The good folks want some reflection, I trow. And there's a good ale and ham in the buttery. Come, sirs, follow me.
Where can Black Baldy be all this while? His smooty face is seldom missing when only mischief is going on.
What do you want with him?
To send him over the craft for the new-laid eggs that the ploughman's wife promised us.
He has been sent further off on another errand already.
And what sent him, I should like to ken, when ye are so thrang?
Well, my lady sent him.
Your lady, say ye? She is grown uncool intimate with that poky Luna late. I wish good may come it. I want go for the eggs myself, I warrant. But I might even go first to the chamber door and listen away. They will only hear the hum of their voices, and our lugs were as gleg as the collies.
Oh, and I'll go with you too. The hum of their voices is worth listening for, if nothing more can be heard.
Act 4, Scene 1, outside the church.
Yes, you may indeed be well assured that I have never, during all the years in which I have served as office of the sheriff of this county, performed a duty so painful. And I am very sensible that what I am compelled to summon you to perform is still more distressing.
Were it not sinful, I could wish myself incapable, from disease or disaster or any other let, of giving legal testimony. Oh, to think of it clouds my brain with confusion and makes me sick at heart. Violet Murray, the young, the unfortunate, the gentle, and, I firmly believe, the innocent. To give evidence to her prejudice, it is a fearful duty.
It is so good, sir. Yet it must be done. I have taken into custody on accusation of witchcraft the fairest woman in the west of Scotland, and you must answer on oath to the questions that may be put to you, whether it be for or against her. If she be innocent, Providence will protect her.
If she be innocent, can anyone reasonably suppose that such a creature would be accused or even suspected, but on the strongest proofs of guilt? Some old haggard beldame with an ill name at any rate might be wrongfully suspected. But Violet Murray, good sooth, must have been where she should not have been ere a tongue or a finger in the county would have wagged to her prejudice.
That's what your wife says, I suppose.
By my faith, Sheriff, it's what everybody says, for it stands to reason.
That it stands to folly would be an apter cause for everybody's saying it, my worthy Baillie.
Grace be with us all. Does a minister of the gospel set his face against that for which there be plain text of scripture? And when cattle are drained dry, children possessed, storms raised, houses unroofed, Noises in the air and everyone's heart beating with distrust and fear of his neighbor. Is this a time for us to stand still and leave free scope for Satan and his imps to lord it over a sober and godly land? By my certes, I would carry faggots with my own hand to burn my nearest of kin, though her cheeks were like roses and her hair like threads of gold, if she were found but for one night joining in the eldritch revelry of a devil's convecticle. Ha! The judge is so near the town already.
I would they were further off. They come sooner than I reckoned for.
Soon or late, we must go to meet them as in duty bound. You take precedence, Sheriff. I will follow you.
What is or is not in this mysterious matter lies beyond human reason to decide. But I must swear to the truth of what I have seen when questioned thereupon by authority is my only clear point of discernment. Hard necessity, my heart, in despite of every proof, whispers to me she is innocent. What noise is this? The senseless, exasperated crowd besetting one of those miserable women who held orgies on the heath on that dreadful night.
Devil's hag, she'll pay for her pastime now, I trow.
For all the milk cow she's twitched.
For all the bonny bairns she's blasted.
She gains like a brook as a terry dog.
Score her in the breath, or she'll cast a cantrip and be out your hands in a twinkling.
What gares ye rage at me so? I never did see no harm to none of you.
Here till her, hey, she lays.
And what for no? Laying is the best o' their lair that had the ale for the dominie.
Aye, wicked witch. Lying's not to her, but we'll give her something for by words for an answer. Who has gotten a jock to like to score the wrinkled brow of her?
Here.
Aye.
She's a witch, burn her.
Aye, gar.
Stand back, I say, every mother's son of yer and every father's daughter to boot. If the woman be a witch, will not she be burnt for it, as others of that calling have before her? Is that not enough to content ye?
Aye, we'll soon see that ugly face glaring through the smoke over Benfire, like a howlet in the stour of an old cowping barn.
And that piece of young warlock right by her side, to see how he glowers at us. Can thou squeak, imp?
Oh dear, you're meddling with me.
Shame upon you. Shame upon you all. Have you no better way of warring with the devil than tormenting a poor idiot?
Shame upon ye, he's a fatherless idiot.
Fatherless, forsooth. He's a fiend begotten imp, I have warranty, and should be sent to the dad he belongs to.
Rid the way, I say, and go out of the gate, each soul and bulk of you. The judges are at hand, and my prisoner must be carried ere they come, else they'll order you all to the toll booth at a swoop.
What a brave thing it is to hear the trumpet sound say nobly. There they come now, the judges and the sheriff and the bailies and the deacons, and the grand authorities of the country.
Heaven save us! What a garlic cow that judges on the left! Nay, which that stands before him will escape, I trow. War, she has young and as bonny as the rosebuds in June.
Hold your tongue, mother, that a body may see them in peace. It's an awful thing but to look upon them here. The Lord help them that must face them in condemnation.
Daft the bairn, will the Lord help witches, thinkst you?
Act 4, Scene 2, a room near the church.
Now let me breathe a while and enjoy my hard-earned triumph unconstrainedly. Revenge so complete, so swift-paced, so terrible. It repays me for all the misery I have endured. May I triumph? Dare I triumph? Why am I astounded and terrified on the very pinnacle of exultation? Were she innocent, Providence had protected her. What have I done but contrived the means for proving her guilt? Means which come but in aid of others that would almost have been sufficient.
Oh, Dole, she's condemned. She'll be executed. She'll be burnt. She'll be burnt the morning at the cross, and all through my putting that sorrowful gown into your hands, and by foul play too, foul befall it. Oh, no, Colm.
What's all this weeping and wringing of hands for? Art thou distracted?
I kenna how I am. I care not how I am. But I winna gang to hell with the death of an innocent lady on my head for all the gold in Christendom.
Poor fool. What makes thee think that the gown thou gottest for me had anything to do with her condemnation?
Oh, you wicked woman. I ken well enough. And I ken what for you confined me in that back chamber so long, and kept my brains in such a whirligig with whiskey and potations.
Thou knowest. How dost thou know?
I set my lug to a hole in the casement and heard folks below in the close telling all about the trial. It was that gown spread out in the court with a hole in the sleeve of it, matching precisely to a piece of the same silk, which no doubt you tore out yourself when it was in your hands, that made both judge and jury condemn her.
Poor simpleton. Didst thou not also hear them say that the minister, sore against his will, swore he saw her on the moor, where the witches were dancing, in company with a man who has been in his grave these 3 years? Was not that proof enough to condemn her if there had been nothing more?
It may be so.
And is so. Is not Mary McMurrin a witch? And has not she been condemned upon much slighter evidence? Thou art an absolute fool, man, for making such disturbance about nothing.
Fool or no fool, I'll gang to the sheriff and tell him the truth, and then my conscience will be clear from her death, whatever she may be.
Her death, frightened goose! Dost thou think she will really be executed?
I heard them say that she and Mary McMurrin are both to be burnt the morning.
They said what they know nothing about. Mary McMurrin will be burnt for an example to all other witches and warlocks, but a respite and pardon will be given to Violet Murray. It is only her disgrace, not her death, that is intended. So thy conscience may be easy.
Oh, if I could but believe ye.
Believe me and be quiet. It is the best thing thou canst do for thyself and for those who are dearest to thee. Be a reasonable creature then, and promise to me never to reveal what thou knowest.
I will keep the secret then, since she is not to suffer. But when you let me out in the morning to see the burning of Mary McMurrin, it would be a vexatious thing to be so near to it and miss such a sight as that.
Thou shalt have all reasonable indulgence.
Oh, get her in hell. Oh, get her in hell.
I hear the voice of grizzled babe.
Oh, get her in hell.
They must have been below the ground with a master since we last got sight of her at the tower, else the sheriff officers would have gripped her with the rest. Oh, Lord, preserve us. Is she coming in by the door or by the window, or up through the boards of the flooring? I hear her eldritch voice around about us, and my lugs ring like the bell of an Amos house.
Now, my brave lady, my bold lady, my victorious lady, Satan has many great queens in his court, many princesses in his court, many high-blooded beauties in his court. I saw them all last night, sweeping with their long velvet robes, the burning pavement of it. Oh, thou wilt have no mean mates to keep thee company, and thou wilt match with the best of them too. Oh, yes, there is both wit and wickedness in thee to perfection.
Hush, hush, grizzled bane. What brings thee here? Is there not good ale and spirits in thy cellar, and a good bed to rest upon? What brings thee here?
Oh, shame of my cellar. Thinkst thou I have been there all this time? Oh, I have been deeper and deeper and deeper than 100 cellars, every one sunken lower than another.
I told you so, madam.
Go to thy chamber if thou art afraid.
Deeper and deeper.
Thou need not speak so loud, grizzled Bane. I understand thee well enough. I hope thou hast been well received where thou went.
Oh, they received me triumphantly. They scented the blood that will pour and the brands that will blaze. The groans and shrieks that will be uttered were sounding in their ears like the stormy din of a war pipe. What will be done tomorrow morning? Oh, think upon that, my dainty chuck, and say if I did not deserve a noble reception.
No doubt, with such society as thy imagination holds converse with.
Oh, yes, dearest, and thou too hast a noble reception abiding thee.
Heaven forfend.
Oh, art thou frightened, dearest? Do not be frightened. It is a grand place. My own mate is there, and the cord about his neck is chained into a chain of rubies. There is much high promotion abiding thee.
And will have long abiding, I trust, ere I am invested with it.
Oh, not so long. Not so long, lady. Whenever thou wilt, it may be. Oh, dost thou love a clasped gorget for thy pretty white neck?
Blasted witch! Would you throttle her?
Oh, imp! Hast thou followed me so fast behind? Down with thee! Down with thee! Oh, there is molten lead and brimstone a-cooking for thy supper. There's no lack of hot porridge for thee, varlet.
Oh, madam, what have you brought on yourself and on me? That was but a poor ignorant callant. Oh, send for the minister at once. We'll down on our knees and he'll pray for us. Oh, the damnation of the wicked is terrible.
She is but raving. The fumes of her posset have been working in her brain. Be not foolish enough to be frightened at what she says.
Oh, I wish I'd never done it. I wish I'd never set eyes or set thoughts on the mammon of unrighteousness.
Now frightened art thou?
Thou seest she's in jest, and has pleasure in scaring thee. Go to thy chamber and compose thyself.
Oh.
Don't go until she has left me. Hie to thy cellar, grizzled Bane.
Oh, and leave thy sweet company, lady.
For a good savory meal, which is ready for thee. I hear them carrying it thither. Go. I've promised to visit Lady Dungarin at a certain hour, and I must leave thee. Landlord! Is Grizzled Bane's meal ready?
Yes, madam, and with as good brandy to relish as either lord or lady could desire. Come, my lofty dame, let me lead you hence.
Oh, the Lord be praised, she is gone. For she has been in the black pit of hell since yestereen, and would put everybody after her if she could. Oh, dear lady, send for the minister.
Hold thy foolish tongue and retire to thy chamber. Violet Murray's life is safe enough so thy conscience may be easy.
Oh.
Follow me, for I must lock thee in.
Must it still be a prisoner?
Thou shan't be so long. Have patience a little while, foolish boy.
Act 4, Scene 3. Violet is in a prison cell.
Violet. Oh, Violet, my once dear Violet, dost thou know my voice?
Know
Wilt
your
thou
voice.
not raise thy head and look upon me?
I know your voice. You are very kind to come to me in my misery.
Misery indeed. Oh, that I should see thee thus, the extremity of human wretchedness closing around thee.
Say not the extremity, Robert Kennedy, for I am innocent.
I will believe it. In spite of evidence as clear as the recognition of noonday, in spite of all evidence, I would believe it. The hateful sin of witchcraft, if such a sin there be, thou hast never committed. It is impossible.
I know thou wilt believe it. And oh, the thought that thou couldst also believe that I am innocent of all falsehood and fickleness of affection. But thou canst not do so. It were unreasonable to expect it. Thou wilt think of me as an ungrateful, deceitful creature, and this is the memory I must leave behind me with Robert of Dungarn.
I forgive thee, dear Violet, for so in thy low estate I will call thee still, though thou lovest another as thou hast never loved me.
I love him for surely as I cannot love thee, but not to the injury of the affection which has always been thine.
I came not here to upbraid. We will speak of this no more.
Alas, I should speak and think of things far different. Yet this lies on my heart as the heaviest load of all. May God forgive me for it.
And he will forgive thee, my dear friend. For such I may and I will call thee, since I may not call thee more.
Do, my noble Robert. That is the best of all, and resting in thy mind as a friend, I know, I am confident that something will happen when I am gone that will discover to thee my faithfulness. Death will soon be past, and thou will live to be a prosperous gentleman, and will sometimes think of one, my evil fame will not. Thou will think, I will speak good of Violet Murray, when all besides speak evil. Thou will not.
My dear, dear creature, dear as nothing else has ever been to me, thou shalt not die. The very thought of it makes me distracted.
Be not so. It is the manner of it that distresses thee. But has it not been the death of the martyrs, of the holy and the just, of those the dust of whose feet I had been unworthy to wipe? Think of this, and be assured that I shall be strengthened to bear it.
If deliverance should be frustrated.
What art thou talking of? Thou art indeed distracted. Nay, let not my execution terrify thee so much. I too was terrified, but I have learned from my jailer, who has been present at such spectacles, that the sentence, though dreadful, is executed mercifully. The flames will not reach me till I have ceased to breathe, and many a natural disease doth end the course of life as mine will be terminated.
God forbid. God help and deliver us. I do not hear them yet. If they should fail to reach it in time, God help us.
What dost thou there? What dost thou listen for? What dost thou expect?
Means for thy deliverance, thy escape.
Say not so. It is impossible.
It is possible, and will be if there's a providence on earth, if there's mercy in heaven.
I hear nothing. What is it thou expectest to hear?
I do hear it now. They are near. They will open upon us presently.
What dost thou hear?
The sound of their spades and their mattocks. Oh, my brave miners, they will do their work nobly at last.
A way to escape underground? My ears ring and my senses are confounded. Escape and deliverance.
Yes, love and friend and dear human creature, escape and deliverance are at hand.
How good and noble thou art to provide such deliverance for me, believing me unfaithful.
Come, that is nothing. Be what thou wilt, if I can but save thee. Life and death are now on the casting of a die. The ground moves. It is life.
The ground opens. Wonderful, unlooked for deliverance. Thank God, His mercy has sent it.
A small opening appears in the floor of the prison.
May we descend? Are thee ready?
In 2 minutes, the passage will be practicable.
Make no delay. We will pass anyhow.
How quickly they have worked to mine so far underground since yesterday.
That mine was completed many months ago to favor the escape of a prisoner who died suddenly in prison before his projected rescue. The secret was revealed to me yesterday by one of the miners who had originally conducted the work.
We are ready now.
Heaven praised! I will first descend and receive thee in my arms.
Oh, company admitted without due permission? Dungarin here? Your underling, Mr. Jailer, is a rogue? How is this?
As I am a Christian man, I know no more about it than the child that was born since yestereen.
It is only one born since yestereen that will believe thee. A hole in the floor, too, made for concealment and escape? Dungarin, you are my prisoner in the king's name. To favor the escape of a criminal is no slight offense against the laws of the land.
You distract me with your formal authorities. The laws of the land and the laws of God are at variance, for she is innocent.
She has abused and bewitched thee to think so, and a great proof of it is of her guilt.
It is you and your coadjutors who are abused, dreadfully and wickedly abused, to hurry on with such unrighteous obduracy, the destruction of one whom a savage would have spared. Tremble to think of it. At your peril do this.
I am as sorry as any man to have such work to do, but yet it may be done, and at your peril resist the law. Hollow you without! Take Robert Kennedy of Dungarin into custody, in the king's name.
Witchcraft! Heaven grant me patience. Her life to be taken for witchcraft? Senseless, idiotical delusion.
Do your duty, fellows. He is besides himself, distracted outright.
Noble Dungarin, submit to the will of heaven. I am appointed to my hard fate, and God will enable me to bear it. Leave me, my dear friend. Be patient and leave me.
They shall hack me to pieces ere I leave thee.
Dear Robert, these are wild, distracted words and can be of no avail. Good Mr. Rutherford, and Lady Dungarin, too, ye came here to comfort me. This I know was your errand, but oh, comfort him. Speak to him and move him to submission.
Your present vain resistance, Dungarin, does injury to her whom you wish to preserve.
My son, my Robert, thou art acting like a maniac. Retire with these men who are only doing their duty and neither wish to injure nor insult you. I will stay with Violet, and Mr. Rutherford will go with you.
Leave her to see her no more!
Not so. The sheriff will consent that you may see her again in the morning, ere...
I do consent. You shall see her in the morning before she goes forth to her...
To that which is so revolting and horrible that no one dare utter it in words. Oh! Oh!
His mind is now exhausted and unfit for present soothing. Attempts to appease and console him must come hereafter. There is time enough for that. But thy time is short, Violet. I would prepare thee for an awful change. Unless thou be altogether hostile to thoughts of religion and grace, which I can never believe thee to be.
Oh, no, no. That were a dreadful hostility, and thou, even thou, the good and enlightened Rutherford, my long-tried monitor and friend, can express a doubt whether I am so fearfully perverted. Alas, death is terrible when it comes with disgrace, with the execration of Christian fellow creatures. Oh, pray to God for me. Pray to God fervently that I be not overwhelmed with despair.
I will pray for thee most fervently, and thou wilt be supported.
I have been at times, since my condemnation, most wonderfully composed and resigned, as if I floated on a boundless ocean beneath his eye who says, "Be calm, be still, it is my doing." But returning surges soon swell on every side, tossing and raging and yawning tremendously like gulfs of perdition, so that my senses are utterly confounded. My soul has much need of ghostly comfort.
Comfort her, good Rutherford. I forgive her all that she has done against my poor child, and may God forgive her.
And will nothing, dear madam, remove from your mind that miserable notion that I have practiced witchcraft against the health and life of your child? Can you believe this and pity me? No, no, were I the fiend-possessed wretch you suppose me to be, a natural antipathy would rise in your breast the sight of me, making all touch of sympathy impossible. I am innocent of this and of all great crime. And you will know it when I am laid in a dishonored grave and have passed through the fearful pass of death from which there is no return.
You make me tremble, Violet Murray. If you are innocent, who can be guilty?
Be it so deemed, it is God's will. I must be meek when such words are uttered against me. And you think it possible that I have practiced with evil powers for the torment and destruction of your child? Poor Jessie, who was my little companion and playfellow, whom I loved and do love so truly, who hung round my neck so kindly and called me my sister, was a sweet word from her guileless lips, and seemed to be.
She may well weep and wring her hands. It makes me weep to think of the power of the evil one over poor unassisted nature. Had she been less gentle and lovely, he had tempted her less strongly. I would give the best part of all that I possess to make and to prove her innocent. But it cannot be. Oh no, it cannot be.
Forbear, forbear. Prayer and supplication to the throne of mercy for that grace which can change all hearts, convert misery into happiness, and set humble, chastened penitents by the side of undeviating virtue. Prayer and supplication for a poor stricken sister and for our sinful selves is our fittest employment now.
Thanks, my good sir. You are worthy of your sacred charge. I am indeed a poor stricken sister, one of the flock given you to lead, and humbly penitent for all the sins and faults I have really committed. Pray for me, that I may be more perfectly penitent and strengthened for the fearful trial that awaits me.
Thou wilt be strengthened.
Oh, I have great need. I am afraid of death. I am afraid of disgrace. I am afraid of my own sinking, pusillanimous weakness.
But thou needst not be afraid, my dear child. Trust in his almighty protection, who strengthens the weak in the hour of need and gives nothing to destruction, which in penitence and love can put its trust in him.
I will strive to do it, and my kind pastor and the prayers of a good man will help me.
Let us kneel then in humble faith.
Not here, good sir. I cannot leave her here, even with a man of your cloth and that opening for the escape in the floor.
As you please, sir. Remove her to another cell, or if it must be, let a guard remain in this.
Is it ready, attendant? You must be removed to another prison room.
As you please, Sheriff.
Lean upon me, madam. Woe the day that I should lodge so fair a lady in such unseemly chambers.
I thank you for your courtesy, good Sheriff. You do what you deem to be your duty, and when you are at last undeceived and convinced of my innocence, as I know you will one day, you will be glad to remember that you did it with courtesy.
Blessings on thy lovely face. Witch or no witch, dost thou speak so gently to me?
A bonny witch, and a cunning one, has ever signed compact with Satan. I wonder what cantrap she'll devise for the morn when the pinching time comes. I wish it were over.
Act 5, Scene 1. A room with a window looking towards the execution grounds.
Here, madam, you can remain concealed from everybody and see the execution distinctly from your window.
Yes, this is what I want. And you must let no creature come here on any account. Keep your promise upon this point, I charge you.
Trust me, madam, nobody shall enter this room, though they carried a bag of gold in their hand. I have refused a large sum for the use of that window, and expecting some schoolboys and apprentices who have climbed up to the roof of the house. There is not a creature in the tenement, but Grizzled Bane and Black Baldy, each in their place of confinement.
I thank thee, landlord, and will reward thee well. Thou shalt be no loser for the money thou hast refused on my account. What is the hour?
The Abbey Church struck 8, as I reckon half an hour ago.
Longer than that, much longer. The time should be close at hand for leading out the criminals. What a concourse of people are assembled, in such a deep silence through the hall.
Aye, in the day of doom, they will scarcely stand closer and quieter.
Hold thy tongue. We know nothing of such matters.
But what the Holy Book reveals to us.
Leave me, I pray thee. I would be alone. Half an hour? No half hour were ever of such a length. Landlord! Ho! Landlord!
What is your pleasure, madam?
Art thou sure that no reprieve has arrived? It must be past the hour. Ha! The time is true.
That awful sound. It gives notice that the prisoners will soon be led forth. Lord, have mercy on their sinful souls, on all sinful souls.
Thou mayest go. I would be alone. Now comes the fearful consummation. Her arts, her allurements, her seeming beauty, her glamour and her power. What will they all amount to when the noon of this day shall be past? Few black ashes and a few scorched bones. Fie upon these cowardly thoughts, this sinking confidence. Revenge is sweet. Revenge is noble. Revenge is natural. What price is too dear for revenge? Why this torment and commotion? To procure false evidence for the conviction of one whom we know or believe to be guilty. Is this a sin past redemption? No, it is but the sacrifice of truth for right and useful ends. I know it is. Reason says it is, and I will be firm and bold in spite of human infirmity.
Yes, dearest, thou art very bold. There is not a cloven foot nor a horned head of all wickeder and bolder than thou art.
What brings thee here?
To be in such noble company.
What dost thou mean by that?
Every word hath its meaning, lady, though every meaning hath not its word, as thou very well knowest. I am great. Thou art great. Oh. But the greatest of all stands yonder. Oh,
dost thou point at?
Oh, but
I see nothing.
Thou wilt soon, dearest. The master we both serve is standing near us. His statue is lofty. His robe is princely. His eyes are like two flames of fire. And the one stands behind him like a chieftain of ill-rich degree. But why is he thus? Oh, can no power undo that hateful noose? It waves before mine eyes so distractedly.
Thou art indeed distracted and visionary. There is nobody here but ourselves.
The master of us all is waiting yonder, and he will not sink till his nether court again, till the fair lady is with him.
Oh, I understand thy moody fancy now. The master thou meanest is waiting for Violet Murray.
Yes, dearest, if he can get her. If not, he will have someone else who is worthy to bear him company. He must have his meed and his mate. He will not return empty-handed when a fair lady is to be had.
Heaven forfend! That bell sounds differently. They are now leading them forth.
Oh, come here, darling. Here is a sight to make the eyes flash and the heart's blood stir at its core. Here is a brave sight for thee.
Act 5, Scene 2. The execution grounds prepared for burnings.
Now, prisoner, may God be merciful to thee. Make use of the few moments of life that remain by making confession before these good people of the wickedness thou hast committed and the justice of the sentence that condemns thee. It is all the reparation now in thy power, and may God accept it of thee.
Oh, Hone, oh, Hone.
Dost thou not understand what I say? Make confession.
Oh, no. Oh,
Dost thou hear me, woman? Make confession.
Confession.
Oh, yes, confession, woman.
Tell me what it is and I'll say it.
How cunning she is to the last.
Didst thou not confess on thy trial that thou wert a witch and hadst tryst meetings and dealings with the devil?
Oh, Lord have mercy on me. I said what I thought, and I thought as ye bade me. The Lord have mercy on a wicked woman, for that I know I am.
How cunning she is again. She calls herself wicked, but will not call herself witch.
Mary McMurrin, make confession ere you die, and God will be more merciful to you.
Oh, miserable wretch that I am. Do ye make confession for me, sir? And I'll say it after you, as well as I do.
Oh, there's no making anything of her now, miserable wretch. Lead her to the stake and make her pray with you there, if the evil one hath got the entire mastery over her to the very last.
Mary is led to the stake.
Now there is a sadder duty to perform. The fair, the young, and the gentle must be brought forth to shame and to punishment.
Violet Murray is brought forth.
Now, madam, it is time that I should receive you from any commands you may wish to entrust me with. They shall be faithfully obeyed.
I thank you, Mr. Sheriff. What may be allowed for mitigating my sufferings, I know you have already ordered. Have you also given similar directions on behalf of my miserable companion?
I have, madam.
Thanks for your mercy. My passage to a better state will be short, and of God's mercy there I have no misgivings. For of the crime laid to my charge I am as innocent as the child newly born, as you yourself, worthy sir, or this good man on whose arm I now lean.
If this be so, lady, woe to the witnesses, the judges, and the jury by whom you are condemned.
Say not so. I am condemned by what honest, though erring, men believe to be the truth. What God alone knows to be the truth is not for man's direction. Weep not for me, my kind friend. You had good cause to believe that you had seen me in company with a creature not of this world, and you were compelled to declare it.
I wish I had died ere that evidence had been given.
Be comforted, for you make me good amends, in that your heart refuses, in spite of such belief, to think me guilty of the crime for which I am to suffer. There is another, you know whom I mean, who thinks me innocent. When I am gone, we will often be together and speak and think of Violet Murray. This is the memory I shall leave behind me. My evil fame, who others is of little moment, and yet I needs must weep to think of it, this human weakness.
God bless and strengthen thee, my daughter, in this thy last extremity.
Fear not for that. I am strengthened. You have prayed for me fervently, and I have prayed for myself. And think ye I shall not be supported? And these good people too. Some of them, I trust, will pray for me. They will one day know that I am innocent.
We know it already.
I command silence. Mr. Sheriff, your duty calls upon you.
Madam,
You speak and turn from me. I understand you.
I am compelled to say, though most unwillingly, our time is run.
And I am ready. The last fearful step of my unhappy course only remains. You have gone far enough, my good sir. Receive my dying thanks for all your kindness, and let us part. Farewell. Till we meet in a better world.
Nay, nay, I will be with thee till all is over, cost what it may, though it should kill me.
Most generous man, thou art as a parent to me, and woe the day thy heart will wrong as though thou wert so in truth.
Sheriff, why so dilatory? Proceed to the place of execution.
Not so hasty, sir. The psalm must first be sung.
It will be sung when she is at the stake.
Would thou wert in her stead, heartless bigot. Raise the psalm here.
You are very humane, good sheriff, but we shall, if you please, proceed to the place appointed.
Stop! Stop! Stop the execution! She is innocent. She is innocent. Ye shall not murder the innocent.
Who art thou? Who wouldst thou stop the completion of the law?
One whom you have known, whom you have looked on often.
The holy faith preserve us. Art thou a living man?
Murray of Torwood? Doth the grave give up its dead when the sun is shining in the sky?
Ah, look to the lady, she is swoon.
My dear, my noble child, thine own misery thou couldst sustain, but mine has overwhelmed thee, dear, dear child.
Dungarn broke from prison in defiance of the law.
In defiance of all earthly things. Who art thou? What right hast thou to support Violet Murray?
The right of a father, a miserable father.
Her father is dead.
Not so, Dungarn. I were dead, if it could save her life.
This good man, whose word is truth itself, laid Murray of Torwood in the grave with his own hands.
Did he examine the face of the corpse which he so piously interred? I had changed clothes with my faithful servant, but it is a story tedious to tell. And can ye doubt his claims to identity, who, in the very act of making them, subjects his own life to the forfeit of the law?
By my faith, he is a condemned murderer, and will be required of our hands. Keep well on the watch that he may not escape.
She seems to revive. She will soon recover. And it was you who were with her on the heath and in the cave.
It was I, Dungarn.
No apparition. No clandestine lover, but her own father.
Call him not father. I own him not. Send him away, dear Robert.
My generous child, the strength of thy affection is wonderful, but it is all vain. I here submit myself willingly to the authority of the law. Though innocent of the crime for which I am condemned, the willful murder of a worthy gentleman. And now, Mr. Sheriff, you cannot refuse to reprieve her, who is mainly convicted for that in being seen with me. She seemed to hold intercourse with apparitions or beings of another world.
Reason. God be praised for it.
God be praised, she is safe.
There be other proofs against her besides that.
Be they what they may, they are false.
Enter Black Baldy letting himself down from a window.
Here, my Lord Sheriff, hear me, Your Honor. Hear me, Dungarron. Hear me, all present. She's innocent. I stole it. I stole it myself. And the Lady Annabel tempted me, and I stole it.
Oh, simple fool. It is not for theft she is condemned.
Can that well, Your Honor? She's condemned for being a witch, and she's no witch. I stole it myself and gave it to the Lady Annabel, who cut out the hole in the sleeve of it. I'll be sworn. Oh, little did I think what wicked purpose she was after.
Yes, my gallant. I comprehend thee now. It is that gown which was produced in the court thou art talking of. Thou stole it for the lady, Annabel? And she cut a piece out of it, which she pretended to have found in the sick chamber?
Even so, Your Honor. Oh, whip me, banish me, or hang me. And it must be so, but let the innocent lady be.
Oh, well, I'll take the punishing of thee into my own hands, knave. What shrieks are these?
Annabella and Grizzled Bane are seen struggling inside the house.
Let me enter. I charge you within. Whoever ye be, to open the door. No answer. Still no answer. Open the door. It shall be forced opened.
What want ye, good Mr. Magistrate?
Somebody has suffered violence in this house. Open the door immediately.
And what would you have from the house, that ye are so impatient to enter? There be corpses enow in the churchyard, I trow. Ye need not come here for 'em.
She is a mad woman and have murdered somebody.
Mad, Your Honor. She's the witch we have been seeking in vain to apprehend, and the blackest, chiefest hag of them all.
My faith, we mustn't deal cannily with her, or she'll make her escape us again through the air.
Open the door, woman, and you shan't be forced. We want to enter peaceably. Who is with you there? Who was it that shrieked so fearfully?
Never trouble thy head about that, Mr. Magistrate. She'll never disturb you more.
Who is it you have with you?
Know ye that token? It was the fair lady that owned it, but she has no need of it now. Hand me up a winding sheet.
Oh, the cursed hag has destroyed some lady. Officers, enter by force and do your duty. Witch or no witch, she cannot endure strong men like you in the open light of day.
The door is burst open. Annabella's dead body is brought forward.
Stand back, every one of you, and leave clear room round the body. It is the Lady Annabella. She has been strangled. She has struggled fearfully. Her features are swollen, and her eyes startling from her head. She has struggled fearfully. Stand back, I say. Retire to your places, every one of you, or I'll deal with you as breakers of the peace.
Why, be not so angry with them, good Bailey. They have some frightful sight to stare at, and they will be disappointed of that which they came for.
Disappointed, Sheriff? You do not mean, I hope, to reprieve that foul witch at the other stake. Is not one execution enough for them? It makes me sick to see such bloodthirsting in a Christian land.
Ah, you say true. That poor wretch had gone out of my head.
Wretch enough, good sooth, the blackest witch in Renfrewshire, Grizzled Bane excepted.
But we need not burn her now. Her evidence may be wanted to convict the other.
Not a whit. We have evidence at command to burn her 20 times over. A bird in hand is a wise proverb. If we spare her now, she may be in Norway or Lapland when we want her again for the stake.
And this is thy fearful end, most miserable woman. It wrings my heart to think of what thou wert and what thou mightst have been.
Your authority having, on these undoubted proofs of her innocence, reprieved her, may I request that she be now withdrawn from the public gaze? It is not fit that she should be further exposed.
True, Torwood. You shall lead her back to prison, where she shall only remain till safe and commodious apartments are prepared for her. As for yourself, I am sorry to say we have no power to lodge you otherwise than as a condemned man, obnoxious to the last punishment of the law.
Oh, say not so, dear sir. He had made his escape. He was safe. He was free. And he surrendered himself into your hands to save the life of his child. Will ye take advantage of that? It were cruel and ungenerous.
We act, lady, under authority and must not be guided by private opinions and affections.
Most assuredly, it is our duty to obey the law and to make it be obeyed without fear or favor.
On my knees, I beseech you. I beseech you for an innocent man. Royal mercy may be obtained if you will grant the time to save the life of the innocent. Innocent, I mean of intentional murder.
Has he further proof of such innocent to produce than was shown on his trial?
If he has not, all application for mercy were vain. He slew the man with whom he had a quarrel, without witnesses. If he is innocent, it is to God and his own conscience, but the law must deem him guilty.
He did it not without witnesses, but he who was present is dead. Alas, alas, if Fotheringham had been alive, he had been justified.
Forbear to urge that plea, lady, that the only person who was present at the quarrel or combat is dead or disappeared throws a greater shade of darkness on the transaction.
These are hard words, Baillie, and unnecessary.
You may think so, Sheriff, but if you yield on this point, I entirely dissent from it. I, from granting any delay to the execution of his sentence. Shall a man be made gainer for having defied the law and broken from his prison?
I am afraid that we can do nothing for you. You must prepare for the worst.
I came here so prepared, worthy sir. I knew you could do nothing for me. Forbear, dearest child. Thou humblest thyself in vain. I will meet fate as a man. Do not add to my suffering by giving way to such frantic humiliation. Dungarin, I commit her to your protection. You will be her honorable friend.
Aye, and her devoted husband also, if you esteem me worthy to be so.
Worthy to be her husband, were she the daughter of a king, my noble Robert Kennedy. But thou must not be the son-in-law of such a one as I am, one whose life has been terminated by...
I despise the prejudice.
But I do not. Oh, I cannot despise it. If my father must suffer, I will never marry thee, and I will never marry another. My fate is sealed. Thou and this good man will be my friends, and heaven will, in pity, make my earthly course a short one. A creature so stricken with sorrow and disgrace has nothing to do in this world but to wait in humble patience till God in his mercy takes her out of it.
Come from this hateful spot, my sweet child. Cruel as our lot is, we shall be, for what remains of this day, together.
Aye, there she comes, the devil raging within her.
The blackest witch of all.
Let her be blunt at the stake that was meant for the lady. Hurrah, hurrah, more faggots and a fiercer fire for Griseld.
Hurrah in defiance to Satan and his agents.
You will please, Mr. Sheriff, to make the contents of this paper public.
I charge everyone here, at his peril, to be silent. Be it known unto all men that the King's Majesty, with the Lords and Commons and Parliament assembled, have decreed that the law punishing what has been called the crime of witchcraft as felonious offense be repealed. Therefore repealed accordingly. Henceforth, there shall be no person be prosecuted at law as a wizard or witch throughout these realms, And any person or persons who shall offer injury to anyone as being guilty of the supposed crime of witchcraft shall be punished for such aggressions. God save the king.
My certes, the devil has been better represented in the House of Parliament than all the broad shires in the kingdom.
Seek a decree as that in a Christian land.
To make Satan triumphant. There'll be fine gambles on moors and in kirkyairds for this, I trow.
Parliament, forsooth, we have sent bonny members there indeed, if these be the laws they make.
And will Mary McMahon escape after all?
Out the bonnet! She may be brunt at any rate, for she is condemned by the good old law of our forefathers.
Aye, so she may. That stands to reason.
The crowd gathers around the stake where Mary McMurrin is bound.
Desist, I say, or the soldiers shall disperse you forthwith.
Would they burn the miserable creature for an imaginary crime, one may say for a pastime?
No, good sir, not imaginary. She is a witch by her own confession. And that woman is also, by her own words, convicted of consorting and colleaguing with Satan, an awful and mischievous witch.
Is she so?
Ah, who says otherwise? The sun shines now, and that makes thee bold, but my time of power is coming.
Is this you, grizzled Bane? What brought you to this part of the country?
The prince, the power of the air.
There, sir, you hear her confess it. And who is she? For you seem to know her.
A miserable woman whose husband was hanged for murder at Inverness some years ago, and who thereupon became distracted. She was, when I left that country, kept in close custody, but she has no doubt escaped from her keepers, who may not be very anxious to reclaim her.
We must secure her then and send her back to the north.
Lay hands on me who dare. I defy you. My master is stronger than you all, since you sent him to his kingdom of darkness. He cannot stop the breath of a spirit, though you had a score of executioners at your back. Lay hands on me who dare.
Nobody will do you any violence, dame, but you will quietly retire with these two friends of yours. Nay, make no resistance. Look steadfastly in my face, and you will plainly perceive that you must go.
Grizzled Bane is led off.
Now, Mr. Sheriff, release your prisoners since the laws against witchcraft are abrogated.
I do it most gladly. Would you have the authority to command the release of all my prisoners?
It is only those condemned for witchcraft whose enlargement I have authority to command.
But there is a prisoner condemned of murder, whom thou, James Fotheringham, knowest to be innocent, and therefore thou art by nature authorized, yea, compelled to demand his release. I mean the reversion of his sentence.
Murray of Torwood, in the land of the living.
No thanks to thee that I am so. To desert me and leave the country too, circumstanced as thou knewest me to be, the only witness of that fatal quarrel. Was it the act of a friend, of a Christian, of a man?
No, neither of a Christian nor a heathen, had it been a voluntary act. But you were not yet in custody when I left the country, with no intention of going further than the southern coast of Ireland to visit a dying relation.
In Ireland all these years?
Be not so hasty. That coast I never reached. A violent storm drove our vessel out to sea, where she was boarded and captured by a pirate. My varied tale, dear Murray, you shall hear on a fitter occasion. But thank
God that I am now here and have this day accompanied my friend on his public errand, still in time to save thee. For hearing on my return to England some weeks ago thy sad story, how thou hadst been condemned, hadst made thy escape from prison, how thy dead body was found in a pit and interred, I was in no hurry to proceed northwards, as the justification of thy memory could not be disappointed.
Thou shouldst not have suffered even my memory to rest under such imputation. No, not an hour.
Dear father, be not so stern when deliverance, a blessed deliverance is sent to thee. See, there is a tear in his eye. It was not want of friendship that detained him.
I thank thee, sweet lady, for taking my part. It was not want of friendship that detained me, though Murray has always been so hasty and ardent, and I so deliberate and procrastinating. It is wonderful we should ever have been friends.
No, not wonderful. Though slow yourself, you loved him, perhaps for his ardor.
Yes, young man, you are right. But how was it that he loved me, if indeed he ever loved me? Perhaps he never did.
I did. I do. And will ever love thee, wert thou as slow and inert as a beetle.
Now, ye are friends, and this terrible tempest has passed over us. May such scenes as we have this day witnessed never again disgrace a free and a Christian land.
Good people, be pacified, and instead of a burning of a witch, you shall have 6 hogsheads of ale set abroach at the cross to drink to the health of Violet Murray, and the grand funeral into the bargain.
Forbear, Sheriff. The body of this unhappy lady is no subject for pageantry. She shall be interred with decent privacy, and those who have felt the tyranny of uncontrolled passions will think with cautious awe of her end.
The end of our play.